He let the sound fall silent until the ticking of an old grandfather clock returned to dominate the empty hallway of the Castello. Trapp's Beretta pistol was burning a hole in the small of his back. He pulled his shirt up and tucked it between his pistol and his skin, partly to protect himself from its burning heat, but mostly in case he needed to access it quickly. He swung the heavy door open halfway, shielding his body with the thick, weathered oak in a way that suggested he was leaning against it for support.
Salute.
Trapp kept his posture natural, but his eyes danced from one man to the other, checking them from head to toe for any sign of a weapon. The taller of the men held a bottle of red wine, as though he was a new neighbor coming over with a housewarming gift, and smiled warmly.
My apologies, gentlemen.
Trapp deliberately layered on his American accent so that he sounded like a big, dumb tourist.
You'll have to forgive me. My Italian ain't so hot.
Well, English is fine. Is your wife here?
My wife? Oh, you mean Anna, my girlfriend?
Yes, my apologies.
Don't want to be giving her any ideas now, do we?
And your girlfriend?
Who do you say you were again?
With his actions shielded by the door, he reached slowly for the pistol concealed behind his back. He was careful to make no sudden movement and inched his fingers forward until they closed around the weapon's butt. The two men glanced at each other, and Trapp noticed as the rearmost, taller man copied his own actions, his hand creeping around his body for what he could only assume was a weapon stashed exactly where Trapp's was.
My name is Fredo. My family owns a property at the bottom of the hill. My brother and I came to welcome you to the neighborhood and to invite you to a dinner.
Trapp smiled broadly to put the two men at ease. The lie was delivered well, but he had no doubt that they were killers, sent here either to capture or eliminate him and Ikeda, though he didn't know why. It was also clear that they were professionals, not local mobsters. In Trapp's limited experience, gangsters were different. Mostly lacking formal training, they were their own worst enemy. Unlike action heroes in the movies, Jason Trapp didn't like fighting fair. He preferred killing amateurs, not trained operatives, because unlike in the movies, specialists were much harder to kill.
Oh, how kind. Well, let me get her down here. I'm sure she'll be delighted to meet the two of you.
He turned, shielding the hand now grasping his weapon.
Anna, honey, there are some guys I want you to meet.
He turned back to the visitors.
She'll be down in a second. You know how women are.
Fredo shrugged ruefully, but the geniality he was attempting to convey wasn't matched by the cold expression in his dark eyes.
My wife is just the same.
Trapp heard a faint crunch from behind the two killers. It was the slightest of sounds, but the taller man flinched and appeared ready to turn around and search for the source of the noise. Trapp acted fast.
Say.
Trapp pulled back the front door with his left hand, then reached out with it for the bottle of wine in Fredo's hand.
Is that for us?
The Italian glanced down at the bottle, and the taller man fixed his attention back on Trapp. Fredo's left hand began to rise as he handed the bottle over to Trapp, and as he did so, in one swift movement, Trapp's right hand twisted around his body, clutching his Beretta. The Italian looked up to see a barrel pointing unwaveringly at the spot between his two eyes. The second man, whose head had been turning to the left the second before, snapped his attention back to Trapp. The second he saw the pistol in the CIA man's hands, he reached for his own and began to bring it around his body and up into firing position.
Non lo farei.
Though delivered in Italian, to Trapp it was as clear as day. I wouldn't do that. The second man froze, his weapon halfway up. The squat man fell to the ground, his head carved open by the two lead-jacketed rounds. The wine bottle smashed against the ground, splitting open and soaking the stones a dark purple that spread like a bloodstain. Before the body hit the gravel, Trapp had switched his aim, fixing the taller man in his sights. The man's eyes now widened even further as he struggled to process the sight of his dead comrade in front of him.
Don't do anything stupid.
She was barefoot, in the same light sundress she'd been wearing when she had come up behind Trapp only a few minutes before. But she had an MP5 submachine gun in her hands, the stock extended and pressed tightly against her shoulder. She looked like the goddess of death. Trapp knew that the weapon could carve the Italian apart in a matter of seconds, leaving so little of him in one piece at this range that his body would be difficult to identify.
I suggest you do what the lady says before she turns out your lights. Permanently.
The Italian's pistol was in his hands, but aimed at the ground, at a spot a couple of yards to the left of Trapp's toes. He seemed smart enough to know that his best option right now wasn't to make any sudden movements.
Who are you guys?
We'll ask the questions. Drop the weapon and kick it away.
The hitman's eyes flashed with anger, but he did as he was instructed. He straightened his posture slightly, and his leg opened up to kick the weapon away. A sniper's round impacted the Italian hitman's chest and sent him spinning, a splatter of blood joining the wine and bodily fluids already pooling at Trapp's feet.
Contact!
Trapp's brain immediately snapped into sniper drill.
Get down!
Trapp threw himself backward behind the protective stone walls of the old Tuscan castello.